Good afternoon, everyone. This is Luciana Turner, the LT&A Group, bringing you another installment of Contracting Chatter. Contracting Chatter is LT&A Group's bi-monthly government contracting webinar where we share various pieces of information for your contracting success. And this installment of the Contracting Chatter, we're going to be talking about contracting on the state level. Now, a little about the LT&A Group. LT&A Group is a government contracting, training, and consulting firm which assists small businesses in developing a sustainable government contracting business. Now, as a result of working with LT&A, you will experience increase in government contracting success from startup to accelerated growth. Through the audit approach, LT&A Group is here to assist you. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself, Luciana Turner. I have an experience where I've been in government contracting for a little more than 10 years. I started off as one of the top 5 government contractors, working direct on project as a finance analyst or finance specialist. I then moved into government contracting. I then moved into government compliance, where I prepared the annual incurred cost submission, performed employee trainings on labor and timekeeping. And I started noticing a trend in contracting. Our program managers, our division heads, all had a similar complaint. And the complaint was that our small business partners were not adept at maintaining records, at what was required of them as a part of the project performance. And as a large contractor, and I will tell you how large the company was that I worked in, their structure was such that their businesses was segmented by customer. So we had a whole division where we housed all of our Navy contracts. We had a whole division where we housed all of our Army contracts. And one business was a $5 billion with a B dollar business unit. And that was one unit of 5 that comprised this company. And here's the thing about that was, now listen how large of an organization this is. They liked being able to go to their subcontracting partners for quick and easy solutions because, quite frankly, the big guys just can't turn on a dime. However, there was this need or this dialogue around how our small business partners were not upholding their end or their share of the responsibilities. And from that, LT&A company was born. So let's just get into a little bit of content of this training. Now, I want to share with you contracting tip number 1. When at all possible, take advantage of all opportunities, whether it's an event, a webinar, networking opportunity. Be ready to ask questions because only the answers to those questions can steer your focus and steer your growth. So always, 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 if there's an opportunity, even when you have to invest, and let me tell you, the best training oftentimes come from investment. Not so much that the content is better, but it's just that for whatever reason, we tend to give greater adherence or influence to those things which we tie an investment to. So here's today's training, where we're going to identify some sources of contracts on the state level. We're going to walk through the procurement sites for the state of Delaware and the state of Maryland. And I'm doing this specifically to show you some differences. Do not go into contracting with the belief or the mindset that all of your contracting customers are the same, that their websites are the same, their expectations are the same. That is not the case. So please take time to educate yourself. Once again, attending those industry day events that every state helps, especially for small businesses. Analyze the information that they're giving you on their websites, and then incorporate them into your business strategy. And then contracting tip number 2 for the day is be on time. And in government contracting, being on time means being early. The first test of your company in the contracting process is meeting the proposal deadline. And there's always a date and a time associated with the submission. The proposal will say, the RFP will say the proposals are due March 3rd at 3:30 p.m. That's 3:30 p.m. their time, by their clocks, by their watches. So if your clock says 3:30 and their clock says 3:31, guess who clocks wins? And guess who proposal will not be accepted? So always work with the goal or a mindset of, I want to be early. So if it's due at 3:30, work towards getting it there by 2:30. That gives you a 30-minute buffer in case something happens, and another 30 minutes to get on the phone. So the government client on the state level. Procurement is staggered. And then within the states, every state has their state procurement portal. That's where all of their state level opportunities are housed. Then there's within each county or parish, however it may be, they have their own procurement portals. And then there are some city level, I need to correct this slide, city level procurement portals. Let's say in the state of Maryland, Baltimore City has its own procurement portal. Baltimore has its own procurement portal. And you have to be from, I guess you have to be from Maryland to know Baltimore City and Baltimore are two different things. PG County has its own procurement portal. The state of Maryland has its own procurement portal. So just that little synopsis I just gave you, I named 5 different procurement portals, I might have been 6, all within the state of Maryland. And I didn't, excuse me, I didn't touch on any of the other counties, any of the cities, none of that stuff. So let's get started. We're going to jump over onto the state of Maryland's website. And now, in the state of Maryland, their procurement website is the emarylandbyspeed.com. Now, what Maryland has done, Maryland has combined a few things into their website. You have the ability to register on their website, and this also registers you in their small business database where you do some self-certifications. It registers you as a vendor with the state of Maryland. And what I like that Maryland does is this. When they have procurements out that has a small business goal, and they're not meeting that goal, or they're not receiving what they feel is a representative number of responses from small businesses, they actually use this vendor list that's in this vendor portal to send out Emails. Hey, you're registered under this code, and here's a procurement that matches your stated capabilities. Take a look at it. It was posted on this date, and it's due to close on this date. So Maryland really does a job of ensuring that as a registered vendor, you're aware of what's going on. You can also use this site to search for subcontracting small business partners, and for whatever reason this didn't work, and we're not going to sit here and play with it, but you can search for small business partners utilizing the eMaryland by Speed connection. And that's good to know from two perspectives. You may wish to bid on a proposal, but you do not have the means or the capability to perform every aspect of that project. You can use that search feature to then identify businesses that have the needs, the qualifications that you are lacking or that you feel you need in order to perform on the particular project. This site is also great, or this search feature is also great in the event of you want to form a joint venture. That's where two companies come together to bid as one mega company. I'm not going to get into joint venturing here. It is a lot more complicated than I just stated, and it cannot be used as a vehicle for every procurement or every RFP out there, but it is an option, and this search feature is just one of the many options that you can utilize. Now, I'm not even going to go into the registering process as a part of this training, but I am going to just go ahead and go into the available information on this site. Now, there are three things on here. We have open bids. Those are the RFPs or the requests for proposals that are actively being sought responses for. There are active contracts. Now, this is a great site. This is a great feature, in that when you're looking at active contracts, as from a research perspective, let's click on the button. Active contracts. Why are none of these paid links? Okay, I'm gonna have to send to the state of Maryland to have them check that out, because these links should work, and they worked earlier, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, I might be in one of their refresh periods. So let me jump over to the state of Maryland, but let me finish making that comment that I was making. The active contract search feature is an awesome feature from the viewpoint of, or the perspective of, what's available or what's currently out there. So you can do some research. What was the type of contract awarded in the service that you offer? Who won that award? And then you get to research that company. What are your similarities? What are your differences? And how can you position yourself should you decide to bid on a similar contract? How can you position yourself for the win? Which is a very, very important aspect. You always have to consider, how can I position myself for the win in the event of recompete? That information on that Maryland website is also great from the perspective of, you can then contact the procurement officers and introduce yourself. Hello, I am Luciana Turner of the LT&A group. We provide XYZ services. I see there's currently an active contract out awarded to ABC Company providing XYZ services. And I would like to discuss with you the potential for that contract. I see the contract is ending, and then within 6 to 9 months. Are you going to rebid this contract? Do you intend to just do the add-on, or how far in the contract are they? Are they in the add-on period, where in the add-on is where the initial contract was for 1 year and there's some options to just renew the contract if they're great with that contractor? That's what I mean by add-on. And if there is an add-on and they are in the add-on, is there another add-on available to them? All of this is public information, by the way. None of this is confidential. Nothing of this is proprietary. So the state can discuss this with you. They can tell you, well, they're at the end of their contract run and we feel that this need is a continuous need, so we are going to rebid this contract. You can ask pointed, excuse me, pointed questions. Were you satisfied with the services they provided? What are you looking to add to on this contract? Is it going to be a totally different contract vehicle, or is it just going to be a basic rebid of the original services? And all of these questions are very important questions. All of these questions give you the tools and the ability to get started early. Because typically when an RFP hits the street, you have from 30 to 45 days to build a response. That includes your response team. If you don't have a staff and you need a staff, you got 30 to 45 days to identify your needs and to get some resumes through the door. Check your proposals. Sometimes they require certain positions to be billed as filled. Sometimes you can just put a position description. So be careful. And just keep those things in mind. All of these research, all of this information that's out there in that particular tab. So let's see if we can jump to the state of Delaware's website, and we can walk through Delaware's site. Let's see if I can walk through Maryland's site again. I don't know what's going on with Maryland. So here we are in the state of Delaware. Now, the state of Delaware has a big solicitation directory, is how they refer to it. And on here, you can, once again, register to receive notifications. I'm going to open this in a new tab, where you can register as a vendor for the state. And as a part of that registration, when an RFP hits the street that meets your designated stated services, they'll send you an email. There is a new opportunity under this code that matches your business. You may want to check out our website. They actually have a step-by-step guide on their site, and I believe Maryland does as well, on how to register. And then Delaware has a great doing business with the state topic page, where they kind of walk through different features of contract award lookup. Once again, recently closed solicitations. Thank you. And let me tell you, this information is just, once again, great information. So here's the list. Let's jump to recently closed solicitations. Here's a list of every RFP that they have closed. Now I'm going to filter on deadline date so that it starts from recently closed moving back. And the add date is the date that they originally posted. The agency is just that, what government entity, Department of Transportation, Office of Business Management, the collegiate office, whatever, posted it. The UNSPC code is a unique identifier used. It's the United Nations Standard Products and Services Code. It's a different variation of a NAICS code. And we kind of get into, on another training, we'll get into all these different codes and what they mean and why so many of them exist. And that's essentially, I'll touch on why so many exist briefly. And that's essentially because initially everything stood on its own. Nothing talked to each other. So everybody set up their own, unique way of identifying services. As technology came into play and everybody said, look, we're all playing in the same pond, let's get in the same boat. And they started trying to standardize and interlock systems where we're, starting to see some uniformity. Some codes are being retired, and some codes will always exist. United Nations Services Procurement, the UN, that code is going to exist. Anyway, so, and it's just a list of what you missed out on. Now, you may be wondering, well, why do I care? I'm going to tell you why you should care. You should care from, once again, a research perspective. You are a training organization and you deal with youth and family, and you're trying to identify your customer or your government customer. This is one means of doing that. Looking at closed acquisitions or solicitations let you know summer youth employment. Let's see. I'm familiar with Delaware. That's no reason why I chose it. And this goes back to season opportunities. I had sent out an email saying, or an initial posting, if you submitted your state, I would use your state. So this whole training would have been geared towards you because it would have been your state procurement site, your state opportunities. And I went as far as to say, if you identify your services, I would use that in my training as well. Once again, a missed opportunity. Not chastising, but making you aware that opportunities are all around you. And sometimes we're so busy, I'm going back to my original post, we're so busy chasing the pot of rainbow until we're passing all the gold coins laying on the ground. And I don't know about you, until I get to that pot, these gold coins, to me, I'm gonna pick them up. But back to services at hand. So once again, we have this summer youth employment. There was recently here's one for disadvantaged business enterprise support services. Just as an FYI, this is something I bid on. My company bid it on. So there's just, if you do work with adults, adult residential services licensed group. So if you want to start a group home and you want to get government contracts, well, now you know that Delaware in 2015 issued a solicitation for this that closed October. So you're going to have to do a little more research, but potentially there's an opportunity for a contract this year in 2017 or next year, because some contracts are 1 year only and they are rebid every year. Some contracts are 1 year with add-ons. So once again, research. Solicitations not awarded. This information is on every website. It's just not necessarily labeled this, but this is good information as well. Now here, Strategic Planning Services 2014. They didn't award this contract, Liz. And I'm gonna tell you something. I do know that they resubmitted this bid. Because you know what, this was a request for qualifications. I want you to keep this in mind. These RFQs are powerful. And the RFQs are used so that they're thinking about, they have a need, and they're trying to decide how are they going to do this need? How are they going to fulfill this need? So what do? They put out a request for qualifications. Who out there is qualified to provide this service? And they also use it as like a pre-screening as well. Now, if you miss these, it's not a bad thing, but they're a great opportunity to get your foot in the door first and to get to talk to those procurement officers first. Put your name and your face in front of the right people so you can start building those relationships. So when they start reviewing proposals, they can say, you know what, we met this person. We met representatives of their company. We like them because guess what? They have to like you to work with you. And if they don't like you or they feel that you're not workable or workable with, they're not going to bid to you. So always put your foot first, a great foot first. So, but let's do another search on this. Okay. This was a construction rebid that they did not award. They may have decided to go with the original vendor that had the contract. You never know. Compliance and regulatory specialist. Oh, they didn't award this. Interesting. Oh, no bids were received. That's good information. They put out a request for compliance and regulatory specialists. I looked at this for my company, and I will always share information like this. I looked at this for my company. I didn't bid, but I can't remember why I didn't bid at this particular moment in time. If you sign up for my training, my SCS foundation training, I go over the bid, no bid process. And every business has to make that decision. You become aware of a procurement, and I'm just opening up this sheet because it tells you, okay, this was the bidder information form that was supposed to be filled out. By the bidder fact sheet, RFP. That's very interesting. And then nobody bid on this. But anyway, when you're going through these RFPs, you have to sit down and read through them. Don't skim. Read through the proposals. And I recommend reading through it 3 times. And then if you have a team, bring your team together and do a group read through. As the business head, you always want to be in a position of knowledge or being able to lead your team so that they know what you're looking for out of that meeting. So that's why I recommend as the head, read it 3 times prior to meeting with your staff. And then read it through with your staff. I mean, literally read it through. And then have a discussion with your team. Is this something that we can do? Here's what I'm seeing as our strengths. Here's what I'm seeing as our weakness. Bring your team, make your team involved in this process. You don't want to be a person who want to make the decision in isolation, because sometimes as the business owners, we are so protective of our babies that we don't always see our potential and our possibilities. So please, utilize your team. Bring them in. Read through the proposal. Get their feedback. Yes, we can do this. Now here's where we feel we're lagging, and your bid, no bid, we're not going to get into bid, no bid team. That's another topic. But you want to make sure if you have gaps, your team can address those gaps and the best way, to fill them. Sometimes there are gaps that they see that you don't see. You may think this is a great opportunity and they don't. So once again, just use that bid no bid process as an opportunity. So they didn't receive any bids, so maybe nobody awarded it. But I'll also say this too. This can be an opportunity. If this is something that you're specialized in, you see nobody bid on it, this could be an opportunity for you to contact the state. Hey, you see that you had this RFP out and you didn't receive any bids. How did you address that need? Because your need was obviously there. So how did you address the need? Is not addressed. Is it possible for us to enter into negotiations since it's already been bidded and nobody responded, that we negotiate potentially offering our services on this contract? Once again, great information, great tool, all here. Now we're going back to the bid listing, and I always sort by deadline date. And that's just because why waste time looking at something that may already be closed? And a lot of these sites do not purge off old opportunities, or do not, file them away immediately. So you may waste time looking at something that is already closed. But, let's just review what's going on here. Newborn, if you do some type of medical research, here's an opportunity. Once again, if you do youth services, Kent and Sussex County Migrant Education Program. Now, this is a subspecialty, but if it is something that you do, it may be something that you want to look at or look into. There was also a SNAP program, processing technology improvement. If you're an IT company and you have a way of going and assessing and bettering a system, these opportunities are out there, and they're not always in the Department of Information Technology. Sometimes they're listed on their regular portals. So let's keep that in mind. And I'm going to say this. Going back to Maryland, and I'm going to set myself up once more to see if this site is working. And maybe I need to just do a whole new I don't know what's going on with the state of Maryland. I was going back to Maryland for this reason. Maryland actually does this interesting thing with their procurement. Here we go. They, on their main state page, they have a procurement resources page. Now I've gone back to the state of Maryland, where they list their online services, their regulations, the e-Maryland marketplace. They actually have surplus property auctions, where the state has too much of something, too many desks or too many, I do know 2 years ago, they actually had some buildings that they own for a variety of reasons that they got rid of. Let's look at this audio-visual equipment. So they don't junk this stuff. They bid this stuff out, and you can bid on it if you find a need for it. It's not, what I was going to say, a segue, but it isn't a segue. Once again, the procurement portal houses various types of information, from the bids to just being able to purchase equipment needed to perform. Your procurement rules and regulations are on these pages. Your training calendars. Every state hosts some type of training. Okay. Now I do know what I know where to go. Let's go to business opportunities on the state of Maryland. And here, once again, they have a green purchasing initiative, green building, green operations, inventory, record management, design and construction of your construction entity. Here are the different designations that they work with. that they have specific goals for. Here's some of the training: doing business with the DGS. And DGS is the Department of Business, I'm sorry, Office of Business Programs, OBP. DGS is the Division of Government Services within the state of Maryland. And they host information sessions and all types of information. Just let's look at their outreach calendar. Now, granted, all of this is in the procurement portals for the site. And blank calendars are killing me. They're making it look so bad. But I do know one site that always has something there, and that is the office. Oh, this is the, they even have links to federal sites. U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. That's because there is a link from the very own small business program within the state to the federal level state. So everything that exists in the state level, there's a federal counterpart to. And I don't want to take too much time going through this, but they have a frequently asked questions section. Now, small business reserve certification is something Maryland does. Every jurisdiction has some variation of this. And it's separate from the DBE and all of this, separate from the Small Business Administration certification. It's a separate beast. So do not assume because you are small business registered over here that registration goes across the board. That is not always the case. So once again, keep in mind all of this information is out here. So let me get back to my slide deck. So do we have any questions on any information that I've shared so far? And I did have a question that I received by email. And that question was simply, I'm trying to phrase it because I'm trying to take out proprietary information from the question. But essentially the question was, how do I decide what state to work with? Should I start with my own state? Should I just stay local? What? The way I would answer that question, some people would tell you to stay within your state because that's where you're known. And that's good advice. I, on the other hand, say, identify the services you're selling and find out what states are buying them. I have a client who does diversity training. I believe she's on this call, but I'm not going to call her name because that's just not appropriate. If she wants to identify herself, she can. Her state had absolutely nothing related to the training that she offers. Diversity, leadership development, they had nothing. So is she supposed to not bid on anything? No. When we came together and worked together, we spoke, and then afterwards I came across an RFP from another state looking for a trainer offering the services she offered, so I sent it to her. So I always say, decide if you want to just be a local company. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. Decide if you want to start off regional versus local, and then decide what region you're going to be in. Newsflash, you don't have to be the Northeastern region just because that's somebody else's designation. You can come up with your own sub-designation or regions within your company, so long as you define it. And when the audit comes, you can justify it. Then, by God, do it. So my answer to that question is simply determine what you're selling, find out which states sell it, find out the criteria within their RFPs, because there's one that my business was going to bid for, but they're requiring their vendor to be within 25 miles of the capital. I pulled out Google Maps and I did the map quest. Are we within this 25 miles? We were 25 and a half miles. Don't think I didn't send an email saying, look, we're half a mile outside of this range and we still submit. I sent that email. I just don't think an extra 5 minutes should bar me from submitting. I don't know, I haven't heard back. But I also have 80 emails that I haven't read either, so we'll see. But that's just my answer to that question. Excuse me. So I want to take this opportunity right now to start the questions. And I want to introduce LT&A's Sustainable Contracting Solutions Training Program, the SCS Foundation Training. This is a 10-week training class which will get you going, get you started in government contracting. The program is outlined to cover record keeping, current, accurate, and complete with your registrations, selling to the government, deconstructing the proposal. Now, I actually broke that down into 3 parts because there's a lot to proposal development, and everybody, for whatever reason, forgets about the budget. And we've got to keep the budget in mind. The art of negotiating, getting paid. There is an art to getting paid in the government, and I have a special guest that's going to speak on that. Now, like I said, this is a 10-week program. Each session is roughly 90 to 120 minutes. Each session will be held on a Monday night, starting at 7 o'clock. Very well. Now, I've thrown a couple of bonuses. Bonus number 1 is 2 45-minute independent strategy sessions. So as a part of this, we'll kick off within the first week or 2. We'll schedule a time. You'll complete an assessment, and we'll take 45 minutes to kind of brainstorm a contracting strategy for your company. Now, I am not somebody that's going to tell you something to make you feel good. I don't do that. I really believe that's out of integrity. I don't buy this whole give people what they want because that's what they want mentality in being a consultant and a trainer. No, if you're not ready, I'm going to tell you you're not ready, and you need to do these things first. And I just want to share a story with you. One of my very first clients, who they severed the relationship, and I'm not going to get into that ins and outs of that, but part of the problem really was they felt they were ready to do all these great, grand, and glorious things. They wanted a GSA schedule, and they wanted this, and they wanted that. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, you don't have a price schedule. You don't have labor categories. And we kind of got into it. I'm going to say I was out of integrity. And because I took them as a client, and I was giving them what they wanted, but I wasn't fulfilling at my highest level because I was out of integrity with myself. Because they weren't ready. And instead of standing my ground and saying, no, I'm not going to do this to you, I went along to get along. And they ended up severing the contract because they felt that I didn't perform. And I didn't perform, and I'll stand here today as a brighter, more integritous person. I didn't perform, not because I just didn't do the work, but I ended up not performing because I was out of alignment with my integrity because they were not ready, and I should have told them that. I have heard different things about where they are right now, and I do know that they spent a considerable amount of money, and they're still on this journey of they feel they're ready for things they're not ready for, and they're not making any money, and they're spinning their wheels frustrated. But you have to be coachable, you have to be trainable. And when you hire a specialist, let them be the specialist. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent there for a moment, but I just had to really say, that's part of the assessment, and that's part of the strategy session. If you're not ready, you're not ready, and I'm gonna tell you that. And I will gladly reimburse you your money if you feel like you are ready and I'm not doing what I need to do for you. Bonus number 2 is a 6-week post-training email support. You can email me your questions. I will answer you within a 48-hour window of time, and you will get that support for 6 weeks. Plus, you will get a discount on a ticket to the LT&A's Contractors Conference 7-figure contracting business. So, ultimately, we don't have any questions at this time, and I just want to close out as follows. Government contracting is a great revenue source for any business. Keep in mind there's work that goes into becoming a government contractor. And there's a strategy and there's specialized training that goes along with contracting. The rules in government contracting are a little different than in commercial world. And for that reason, you don't want to perform on a project and then here comes the audit and the government says, well, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, we want our money back. And that happens more often than people want to talk about. So please take advantage of this training. If you want to contact us, don't forget Contracting Chatter. You can submit questions to us that will drive the training. And that's contractingchatter@ltnagroup.com. So once again, have a great day. This is Luciana Turner. Please take time to consider our training program and join us in 2 weeks, on the second Tuesday in March, for our next edition of Contracting Chatter. Thank you.